Hello, everyone. Leroy Kleimola here with you. Hope all is going well. Avery Cooper will be joining us in just a moment. And we are live, actually, bringing you the Prairie Farms WTIM, your information station, Prairie Farms Dairy Pigskin Playoff Preview Show. Glad to be with you as we get things going. We're trying to see if we can stream this live on TIM as well, and we'll be going over all of the great stuff that's going on for the playoffs this year for the IHSA. That will be taking place at 8 p.m. tonight. 8 p.m. tonight will be when the IHSA starts to reveal their playoff pairings. Both Central A&M and Shelbyville will be in the playoffs. Who they will be playing is a question that we definitely have, and we'll find out later on. Avery Cooper, this is your first year in Illinois. Let's get you on the air. There we go. Now you're on the air.
Okay, now we're on the air. Hi. Yes, it is my first year in Central Illinois.
And what have you thought so far about Central Illinois football? I mean, it's been compared to, you're from obviously Washington, that area like that, Washington, Idaho, over on the border there. What has been your big awareness of Central Illinois football?
Over where I'm from, it's very run heavy. There isn't a lot of passing. Yes, there are pass plays. It's not just run, but a lot of teams design their game around the run game. Whereas there seems to be a lot of running, but it's to open up the pass in these kind of spread offenses and stuff like that. I think when it concerns the Central Illinois Conference, where Central A&M and Shelbyville are playing in, I think you've seen a lot of evening of the pack in terms of what COVID has done. You're seeing that a little bit more of any team can beat any team. I mean, Central A&M lost to Tuscola, then Shelbyville beat Tuscola, and it's been like that all season long. It's been very competitive. I really like the competitive aspect. There isn't one top dog except, well, St. Teresa is pretty good. So other than that, it's been any team can win any week, and it's been really interesting to watch, Leroy.
Yeah, let's take a look at some of the big thing is, obviously Central Illinois Conference. We'll go through all of the conferences here to talk a little bit about what we have going on here for these conferences. But as football wrapped up yesterday, and some surprises out of this as well, I think you were at the Central A&M Shelbyville game. Both teams were sitting at 5-3. The winner obviously got a legit, absolute playoff spot because you need 6 wins to officially get a playoff spot. We all knew both teams were going to be in, but overall, you were at that game broadcasting it. How'd that game go?
A deadlock through most of the first half, tied at 0. Just defensive slug match. Shelbyville drove the length of the field, and you'll hear it a little bit from head coach of the Shelbyville Rams, but they drove the length of the field on the very first drive, went to within the 1 yard line, went into the Wildcat formation, and Central A&M stopped them. Shelbyville would do that again in the same half later on, and after that second try, Central A&M would drive and pick up their first score of the game. So 2 missed opportunities for Shelbyville really hurt the Rams, and Central A&M capitalized. Even though they gave up a couple of fumbles, they were able to score with like a minute left in the second quarter, and that really helped their momentum throughout the rest of the game. They didn't give up the lead the entire time, and it got a little bit messy at times in the third quarter, but that really wasn't either team's fault. Central A&M did a great job, and they do a great job of coming up with unique looks on offense every week. Looks that the team on the prior week hasn't seen. Even if you scouted and did your due diligence on Central A&M, you wouldn't really know for sure what it is they're going to run, and that's something that you have to watch for with Central A&M.
Yeah, we talked a little bit earlier about how good some of these teams really have been, and for for Decatur, for St. Teresa, finishing the season 9-0. 9-0. They scored 427 points, only allowing 64. They absolutely dominated their competition, taking on. They beat Effingham. They beat Belleville. They crushed Moequa. Central A&M. They handled. They defeated Meridian 68-8.
Yeah.
So this team really knew, and Shelbyville as well, 42-6 for a victory against Shelbyville. So, you look at this team, and they seem to be a big favorite coming in here. But that's not to take away from what Central A&M has done. Central A&M, who lost a few players this year from what they were able to do last year, but still managed to come away with a 6-3 season with wins against Leroy, Nokomis, Clinton, Warrensburg, Latham, Meridian, and Shelbyville. They had losses to Central and Camp Point, losses against Tuscola, and of course St. Teresa with that big loss as well. So they are poised to be in the playoffs. Brent Weekly has done a fantastic job. Coach Brent Weekly has done a fantastic job with Central A&M and really, really done what he needs to do to be able to pick up a good win on that one. And set himself up for a good playoff run as well.
He really has, and that's part of the versatility of Coach Weekly. And as I mentioned a little bit just a moment ago, he has multiple times come in and he's pretty much come up with a new offensive look 3 times this season. First off, he had James Prairie, who was their quarterback, and eventually it kind of became a little stagnant. He said it himself, too, in the post-game show last night. The offense just became a little bit stagnant, and good and bad. Prairie became injured in around week 4 with a shoulder injury, which allowed sophomore Drew Damery to come in and really shine at the quarterback position. He did a great job filling in, and it eventually came to a point where the senior starting quarterback Prairie came in and said, all right, I'm healthy. How can I help? And Coach Weekly says, well, we're not going to use you as quarterback because, quite frankly, we were just running you too much. And that's really what teams expected for us, and that's what you're good at. So instead, we're going to use you as a Swiss Army knife. And it started in Central over in Camp Point in Western Illinois, where you saw him lining up in the slot. You saw Prairie lining up in the backfield. You saw him even at times lining up as a wide receiver, coming across in a jet sweep and then throwing the ball. It just provided that extra layer of offensive weapons to allow Central A&M players to get into space. And Coach Weekly said it himself too. This hasn't been a super high completion percentage team, but they're explosive. They make the big plays when it counts. And I think especially with James Prairie coming into the fold as the senior quarterback, helping a sophomore quarterback, they have done a little bit more of run pass options. And you've been able to see it work out pretty well in the last week or so.
So with Decatur, St. Teresa finishing in first in the conference, also Central A&M clinching a playoff berth, that left a bunch of spots open for both Shelbyville and Meridian to sneak into the playoffs. Both Shelbyville and Meridian finishing at 5-4 on the season. 5-4 on the season, as they are poised to get an at-large bid. We'll find out who they're going to play later on. But taking a look at Shelbyville and what they were able to accomplish this season, led by head coach Bill Duckett, and we'll hear from Bill in just a little bit. We'll hear from Coach Duckett here in just a little bit, but they've had their ups and downs this season. They lost to Cumberland in game 1, 51-28. Were able to defeat Oblong Co-op 66-0. They defeated Clinton 40-29, defeated Tuscola 26-21. Remember, Central A&M lost to Tuscola 20-14. So big difference there. Shelbyville was able to actually come away with a win at home against Tuscola. Warrensburg, Latham picked up a loss against Shelbyville. Shelbyville winning 21-14. Then Meridian was able to defeat Shelbyville 35-28. Then they picked up a win against Sullivan, who forfeited the season this year. And St. Teresa, they had losses to finish off the year against St. Teresa and Central A&M. Obviously, that 22-7 loss against Central A&M yesterday. So school's going to sneak in with an at-large bid. Obviously, a big deal for Shelbyville, and excited to see who they will face here in the playoffs moving forward.
Some of the buzz is, and it's kind of a long shot, but some of the buzz of a hopeful playoff match up for Shelbyville, and not necessarily because it's a good matchup for the Rams, but because it'd be great for the community. Shelbyville versus Pana, because it was a long-time rivalry for so long, and they haven't played each other for quite a while. And it's kind of a possibility with, I believe Pana went 9-0.
Pana did go 9-0.
Yeah,
they started off slow this week in their matchup, and then came away with a big cruised right ahead to come away with a big win and winning their conference championship, as well as you look at what Pana has done this year, and really as far as teams go, Pana was pretty good last year. They've had some very, very good help from just being able to do what they need to come away with wins. They meld very, very well. And Pana, of course, finishing 9-0. Carlinville finished in second in the South Central Conference at 7-2. So Pana easily winning that conference by 2 games. And again, Pana was winning or losing to Carlinville. I think the score was 13-3 at one point. Somebody might be watching and correct me if I'm wrong. But I think Pana was down quite a bit. Come away with a 27-13 victory over Carlinville yesterday. So a good win for Pana, who wraps up a undefeated season and are looking to see what they can do in the playoffs this year as well. We talked about St. Teresa and their points for and points against. Right. Pana 389 to 95 or 95.
Wow.
389 to 95. So Pana handled most of the teams that they faced 27-6. Or excuse me, that was Carlinville. Hold on one second. Pana finished Vandalia 46-26, 42-7 against Hillsborough, 44-13 against Gillespie, 49-7 against Staunton, 41-0 against Southwestern, 55-8 against Litchfield, 68-21 against Greenville, 17-0 against Nokomis, and 27-13.
This is like 8-man football scores. These are insane scores.
Really, really good football. They do a fantastic job underneath head coach Trevor Higgins, and Coach Higgins has done a fantastic job with that team, being able to really, really do what he needs to. All right, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to hear from Coach Bill Duckett, see what he's got going on for Shelbyville. We'll be right back in just a little bit. You're listening to the WTIM, your information station, Prairie Farms Dairy Pigskin Playoff Preview Show. We'll be right back right after this.
This is Laura Dudley with People's Bank and Trust, where customers have one consumer banker who knows them and provides the right financial services to achieve their financial goals. Your consumer banker is your single source for life's financial needs, from checking accounts to consumer loans, from retirement accounts to mortgage loans, and everything in between. Call me at 888-PBT-1954, bank with People's Bank and Trust, so you can spend your time living your life, not explaining it. At People's Bank and Trust, we put people first. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Now is the time to protect the investment you have in your driveway or parking lot and get in shape for the winter. Jim Stepp, owner of Central Illinois Asphalt in Taylorville, can help you protect your investment before cold weather. All that freezing and thawing, snow, ice, and snow plowing are hard on your driveway or parking lot. Fix the damage or have it sealed now by letting Jim's over 40 years of experience work for you at a reasonable price. Don't let those out-of-town guys gouge you with high prices when Jim at Central Illinois Asphalt can save you money. Call him today by clicking his icon at TaylorvilleDailyNews.com.
This is Blaine Cornwell from Prairie State Insurance. As a farmer, nothing compares to the sense of pride you feel when you first head outside in the morning. In this moment, it doesn't matter if you save money in 15 minutes. It doesn't matter if the guy down the road has the same insurance as you do. What matters is that you have the right insurance coverage, an agent who understands it with a financially strong insurance company. Auto Owners Insurance is that company to provide this coverage. Contact me, Blaine Cornwell, at 824-9808 to see what Auto Owners Insurance can do for you. Visit us at prairiestateinS.com.
High school football means lots of action up and down the field, touchdowns, and cheering on your favorite team. You and your family need the nutrition and protein that farmer-owned Prairie Farms dairy products provide. Prairie Farms milk, flavored milk, cottage cheese, yogurt, dip, sour cream, and 100% Florida orange juice all provide lots of protein, vitamins, and minerals for the game or day-to-day activities. Choose farmer-owned Prairie Farms dairy products at your grocer or convenience store dairy case to stay in the game.
Dr. Paul Tufan here from Taylorville Urgent Care. We perform rapid and PCR COVID-19 testing as well as provide urgent care for injuries, cuts, broken bones, and perform school and sports physicals. Click on our banner at TaylorvilleDailyNews.com.
Just Beds are the yawn exterminators, and they can give you a better night's sleep. Choose from Bemco, Chatham & Wells, Sealy, Simmons, and Tempur-Pedic. Find out the many models and styles available on their updated website by clicking their icon at TaylorvilleDailyNews.com.
Local information that makes a difference. Here's your regional weather.
Chance of showers and a thunderstorm tonight, a low of 51 degrees. Tomorrow, pretty windy, up to 26 miles an hour at times. Also showers and possibly a thunderstorm, a high of 71. And that'll linger into Sunday night, a low of 50 degrees. Looking ahead, Monday, mostly cloudy with a high of 56. Tuesday, sunny with a high of 58. Weather Anytime at 217-824-6101, or TaylorvilleDailyNews.com.
Greetings, everyone. We're back. You're listening to WTIM, your information station for the WTIM, your information station, Prairie Farms Dairy Pigskin Playoff Preview Show. As we are ready for IHSA, will be revealing results at 8 p.m. tonight. 8 p.m. will be when they release their pairings. We will have all of that when that becomes available. As we'd like to thank you all for listening to tonight's show, as we appreciate you hanging out with us for a little bit. My name is Leroy Kleimola. Joining me is Avery Cooper. That's that guy right over there.
Hello.
If you're watching on the stream, as we get things ready to go here, and we talk a little bit about Shelbyville and what they've been able to do. Head coach Bill Duckett for the Rams, and just excited to see what this Shelbyville team can do in the playoffs. Looking forward to seeing what they've got in store for them later on this evening with their matchups when those get announced at 8 p.m. Yeah, we take a look at that. We'll have an interview with head coach Bill Duckett. Talk to him a little bit about what he's got going on as Avery was able to interview him earlier, and I had it up. It's not there anymore. Hold on, we'll have to pull it up.
Yeah, he talked a little bit though about how even this conference has been, but really he's also talked about how impressed he is with this team and how they've been able to face adversity.
All right, here we go.
Here with head coach Bill Duckett of the Shelbyville Rams. Coach, a close first half against Central A&M last night. Got away from you in the second half. Your thoughts?
Yeah, we just didn't take advantage of the opportunities we had. We had the ball at the 1-2 yard line twice in the first half, and didn't get any points out of either possession. We got down there and it was fourth and goal from the 1-2-ish both times, and they were able to stop us on one, and we fumbled on the other and gave it to them, and just didn't take advantage of those two big opportunities in a game that's a 2-score game. That can be the difference. And then they were able to get a couple big plays in the second half and get up on us, and we just couldn't make plays at the end.
Wanted to ask you about some of the thought process behind, when me and Brandon were calling this game for Central A&M, we thought, the place kicker must not be there for the field goals. It might have put you in a better position to kick the field goal rather than to go for it on fourth down twice. Your thought process on that?
Yeah. Looking back at it, you can always look back at those. But I mean, A&M's a good team. We know we were going to have to score points to get out there and win that game. I look back at it, and 3 points, 6 points here or there could have helped. But our older guys, those seniors, they wanted to go for it, and I was. We got to be able to get 1 yard. I mean, it comes down to that. We got to get a yard when it counts there. And on the second one, I kind of thought our receiver was easily over the first down marker or the goal line on it. But not everything goes your way. We manage opportunities that we get.
Right. And now with 5 wins on the regular season, how are you feeling about your playoff positioning?
We've got enough points so we'll make it, but you just never know. For us, really, it's going to be if we're on that 1A, 2A bubble, and I don't know right now which direction it goes. We're going to be the biggest 1A or the smallest 2A, so there's it could really vary on who you play. We could be playing Breeze Mater Day or some 1A that's a little closer. I don't know.
Who would you like to play?
Just from a fun, interesting community standpoint, I think it'd be a blast to play Pana. We haven't played Pana in football since probably the mid-'90s, late '90s. I know all these kids, dads, uncles, grandparents, they'd be fired up for a game like that, as it used to be a rival for years. And when you're only 10 or 15 minutes away from a school the same size and you don't play for that many years, it'd be a fun game for sure.
Coming into this season, what did you expect out of this team?
I thought we would be competitive. I thought we could be a playoff team for sure. In our conference, it's tough though. Going against St. Teresa, A&M, Warrensburg, Tuscola, even Meridian this year, that there's going to be a lot of competitiveness, and it's such a tough conference top to bottom. So you really didn't know, and we were able to get on a roll there through the early mid part of the season and win 4 in a row, beating Tuscola and Warrensburg, which gave us a lot of momentum, and then we kind of had a letdown against Meridian, and but we played. I feel like we played St. Teresa and A&M tough these last 2 weeks, which they're the 2 top teams in the conference, and we're trying to get into that mold as well as being one of those top teams.
What were some of the challenges of the season with COVID considering?
We ended up having for ourselves a week or 2 there where we had some kids out with it, and it was tough because you have the unknown of what the next day or what the next game may bring with certain kids being out or your team being quarantined or the other team having to take a forfeit, and so it was definitely a concern. And just even going through the prep for this year, in the summertime, there was just different. You don't have the normal routine that you get into and preparing for a season.
How do you feel like the kids responded?
I think they did good. I mean, I think kids were excited just to be able to play after the shortened season in the spring, and at least knowing that hopefully you're going to have a chance at having a postseason and having a full season, and just get the opportunity to get time on the field, which they've had spring sports taken away a year and a half ago, and then all the weird stuff from last year. Just nice to get back to normal a little bit.
Feels like the positive side to COVID, at least in this conference, is that COVID has really narrowed the gap with talent and stuff where any team can win on any given night. Do you feel the same way?
Oh, yeah, I'd say definitely. When you look at how our conference went through the middle part of the schedule, I mean, we beat Tuscola, and then Tuscola goes and beats A&M, and A&M beats us, and it was kind of a lot of parity between that middle outside of St. Teresa. Everybody else kind of had competitive games against each other, so which was nice. That's going to hopefully prepare all the teams in our conference a little bit better for the playoffs with having some of those tough games.
Right. There were a couple of weeks where you figure, oh, Shelbyville's going to beat this team. And then boom, that team beats Shelbyville, or A&M's going to go and beat this team, and boom, A&M loses to that team. And it just felt like that was that way just about the whole season. And before you go, Coach, any final thoughts on playoff positioning and how this season has went for you and your team?
I'm excited for our boys to have the opportunity to have a playoff game or 2 or whatever it may come. It's been a few years since we've been there, and hopefully that can get the ball rolling and get us a little experience for some of our underclassmen in terms of it won't be new in the future when we get there, and hopefully we can build upon that and improve for the future.
All right. Thank you, Coach Bill Duckett, for joining us on the Pigskin Playoff Preview Show.
Thanks for having me.
All right, and that was Coach Bill Duckett talking to us a little bit about what he's got going on for Shelbyville. Let's join Coach Brent Weekly, talk to him a little bit as Coach Weekly joins us on the air, talking to us a little bit about Central A&M. And Coach, glad to have you with us. Thanks for taking a couple minutes out of your evening to talk to us tonight.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Got a staff over here at my house, kind of. When they release the pairings here at 5:15, we got a guy on staff who really just sits down and starts crunching numbers and kind of giving us an idea of the two teams possible we could play, and we're trying to figure it out. We know we're on the road, we know they're the 10 seed, so we're just sitting here trying to figure out if we're either going to Nokomis or Sethur. So we're trying to figure that out, and it's based off of who the state decides to drop south, whether it's Salt Fork or Rushville. So we're playing the waiting game right now.
Yeah, and you guys, this is kind of becoming a thing for you guys to get together for the playoffs. You guys have been successful the last few years, definitely having another great year this year. Obviously, you guys started off a little bit slower this year than what we've seen in the past, but you guys were really able to come away with some big wins as well this year.
Yeah, I mean, we had a lot of these guys that are seniors that have played. We're a part of that team 2 years ago. Went played up in DeKalb against Lena, and they've had some experience. Had a good spring season, even though it was, we talked about it last night. It wasn't as much fun for the kids. you get 6 games, you know that's it. It stunk for last year's seniors, knowing, hey, I only get 6, and we made the most of it with what we were able to accomplish. And these guys, I listened to what you guys were talking about with Coach Duckett there. I mean, our conference year in and year out usually prepares you pretty well for the postseason. Usually the team in the top 2 or 3 in the conference usually fares well in the postseason and makes a pretty good deep run. I think you could say that pretty stamp it pretty well for St. Teresa. That obviously everything looks, set up for them to make a run. They're going to have to beat a Maroa team and a Breeze Mater Dei team and Pana more than likely, or Nashville, whoever comes out of that southern part. But then our part of the conference, our side. I mean, I think we're pretty well set up for an opportunity. Like, if we do play Nokomis, if we are able to beat Nokomis, we get a rematch with CPC at our place, which talked about again last night. That'll be fun. It gives us an opportunity just to see if we learned anything, see if we've gotten better. And, our kids, I think, are looking forward to the challenge and looking forward to seeing if they can continue the success we've had here in the postseason.
I was down at Bethalto last night for Taylorville's game, and I was joking with one of the announcers that it felt like just one really long season with a summer bye week. I think we've really had 2 seasons that are kind of back to back.
I kind of agree with that. It was a lot of that. There was not a lot of reteaching for us this past summer, which was nice. The last year's freshmen became sophomores, and this year's upcoming freshmen, they're freshmen, but our sophomores who seniors ran the same offense for the most part. We've kind of tinkered with new styles offensively here. This just the way we kind of went, just based on how things were going. But I think we kind of found our way, kind of found our niche here the past couple of weeks. But yeah, it'll be interesting. Our staff was talking. It'll be interesting to kind of see what happens in the winter if these kids physically can hold up. They won't have a ton of rest. So that's what I'm worried about. Some of our kids that have played all these sports in a short amount of time, can they physically hold up? Hopefully they can. And we're gonna, whenever our season comes to an end, we're gonna make sure to give them plenty of rest time to those that aren't playing basketball an opportunity to rest, recover, and so they come back strong and ready to go.
Yeah, what can you say about I tell you what, I don't know if when we were younger, if we'd be able to handle the pandemic as well as these kids have. What can you say about the resilience of these athletes?
They're able to handle that stuff better than us. There's no question. I would have went absolutely bonkers, knowing that I only had 6 games for what could have been my senior year. I only given this many games. That would have driven me crazy. And how they're able to handle it. I just know we'd have had a lot more people. I'm just saying, I think in our class saying, hey, we're not wearing masks, blah, 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 all that other stuff. We have that in this community anyway. But I'm just saying, I don't think for myself and for some of my classmates, I don't think we would have handled it very well. And these guys have done a pretty good job of it.
All right. And finally, what's been your favorite moment so far this season, Coach?
Oh, man, that's putting a guy on the spot. Goodness. I mean, really, you are. There's a lot of them. We've had some ups and downs. You talked about, we've had ups and downs, and the Tuscola game was probably the lowest of the low for us. Not that we lost to. Not that we know that you lose to Tuscola. Just what it really ended up kind of affecting our seeding and all that other stuff for postseason. And positives. I feel like after the Tuscola game, things kind of changed as far as our mindset, as far as practice, how we handle things. Kind of getting back to the answer is always yes sir, no sir. There's no trying to explain it. That's the answer, and we just try to get better. I think that's been the biggest excitement, the best part so far for me. Not trying to make my kids military type kids, but getting to the point where, hey, they understand, hey, this is what we can do. This is what we have to do in order to be successful. And they've kind of bought into that. We've had a pretty good run here the last I'm trying to think what that was week 5. So since then, the last 4 weeks we're 3-1. Played who's going to be the one team in the South. We played them tough there for 2.5 quarters. They kind of wore us out. A day and a half to get prepped for an offense like that is not easy, and we don't see it. So, like I said, that was the reason why we took the game, get us prepared for that style of offense in which we could see later in the postseason, and kind of maybe the way it breaks down is we see that round 2. So, I know that's a long answer to what you asked me, but I think that's kind of just our ability and the resiliency of these kids to being able to adapt. Not only dealing with the COVID stuff, but also just being able to adapt as far as this season goes, how we've made personnel changes and philosophy changes and things like that, because they believe in the fact that we're trying to do what's best to win.
Absolutely, and that's the number one priority, obviously, and to get these kids ready and give them a little bit of sense of belonging. I always felt being on a team was some of the greatest things I've done. So I definitely appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely. We try to make sure to instill these guys to be good fathers, good husbands, and good workers. And at some point in time, you're always going to end up being if you're not the boss, you're taking orders from somebody. So that's kind of, we're trying to prepare them the best we can for things like that, and just doing what's best for the team to be successful. And we're trying to breed a little unselfishness. And I think today this society kind of needs a little bit more of that. So I'm really proud of our kids and where we're at. Hopefully we continue to move forward and get a few more games under our belt this season.
All right, Coach. Sounds good. Anything else you'd like our listeners to know?
Nope. I appreciate the time, and I'm more than anxious to find out where we're going. So we'll find out soon enough.
Only a little bit more. All right. Go Raiders. Thanks, Coach. Appreciate talking to you.
Appreciate it. Thanks, fellas.
All right. Coach Brent Weekly talking to us a little bit about what he's got going on with the Central A&M Raiders, finishing their season 6-3. And Coach Weekly, always a good guy to talk to, and he's done a fantastic job with that Raider team being able to do it. And I tell you what, Central A&M fans, they're fantastic.
Oh yeah,
I'm sure going out there and seeing that. But I told you about that environment and how great that is for football. But you got to experience it firsthand, and there's not too many sports environments that are like that.
No, and especially in high school, and not to take away from the fans, but the administrators and everybody that works for Central A&M and for the program itself, they make it possible to make that environment so good, whether it's the fireworks to the planning of each game and the festivities. There's so much planning and work that go into those home games. It's such a fun time to watch.
All right. Well, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll have more here from the WTIM, your information station, Prairie Farms Dairy Pigskin Playoff Preview Show. We'll be right back in just a few moments.
This is a station editorial. I'm Randall J. Miller, station president. I'm recording this editorial at the 36th Annual Greater Taylorville Chamber of Commerce Chili Fest, which took place October 2nd and 3rd on the Taylorville Square. Despite off and on rain October 2nd, hundreds of people came for 2 days of arts and crafts vendors, a great kid zone for children, and International Chili Society sanctioned chili cook-offs with cooks from 8 states participating. Another great event attracted thousands of people to another community our radio station group serves. September 25th and 26th saw a record number of people come to Clinton for the annual Apple and Pork Festival. Both events were extensively covered by our group's radio stations in each community. In this editorial, I want to recognize the hundreds of volunteers that made each event happen. In the case of the Clinton Apple and Pork Festival, it's been over 50 years of folks stepping up and creating, then doing the work to make the festival happen. It's been a fundraiser for the C.H. Moore Homestead, but more important than that, it continues to be an important source of revenue for the many nonprofits that man the booths on the museum grounds, and even more important, an economic driver that attracts thousands to Clinton. In the case of the Greater Taylorville Chamber Chili Fest, it was created by a couple of people in 1986 that wanted a replacement for the longtime soybean festival on the Taylorville Square. The Chamber took the challenge and, with the help of hundreds of volunteers over the years, has continued for some 36 years, including October 2nd and 3rd. It also attracts people from all over central Illinois, and this year, chili cooks from 8 different states. We salute all the volunteers that make both events and many others across both of our clusters' coverage areas happen each year. It's the work of those volunteers that help attract people to our communities and enjoy our hometowns and all they have to offer. That's our opinion. We welcome yours. Our email address is editorial@randyradio.com.
High school football means lots of action up and down the field, touchdowns, and cheering on your favorite team. You and your family need the nutrition and protein that farmer-owned Prairie Farms dairy products provide. Prairie Farms milk, flavored milk, cottage cheese, yogurt, dip, sour cream, and 100% Florida orange juice all provide lots of protein, vitamins, and minerals for the game or day-to-day activities. Choose farmer-owned Prairie Farms dairy products at your grocer or convenience store dairy case to stay in the game.
Local information that makes a difference. Here's your regional weather.
Chance of showers and a thunderstorm tonight, a low of 51 degrees. Tomorrow, pretty windy, up to 26 miles an hour at times. Also showers and possibly a thunderstorm, a high of 71. And that'll linger into Sunday night, a low of 50 degrees. Looking ahead, Monday, mostly cloudy with a high of 56. Tuesday, sunny with a high of 58. Weather anytime at 217-824-6101 or TaylorvilleDailyNews.com.
Welcome back to the WTIM, your information station, Prairie Farms Dairy Pigskin Playoff Preview Show.
You even got a dance.
I got a sing-song dance going. It's pretty good.
Good time.
All right, let's get back to it. Taking a look at finally shifting over to the Apollo Conference. We got a little bit of time to talk about the Apollo Conference. And I tell you what, we were talking a little bit about it last night. And my goodness, these teams in the Apollo Conference just beat each other up. And it's just a lot of smash mouth power football, and no team did it better than the Bulldogs. Mohammed Seymour Bulldogs going 9-0 on the season, 347 points, 415 points against, and just dominating everybody that they played against. For the most part, they did have a couple close games this year. Mattoon, they were only up 6-0 at halftime. They ended up coming away with an 18-0 win, and they defeated Bloomington 21-7 yesterday. But for the most part, against the Apollo Conference, they did all right. 37-7 against Effingham, 35-27 against Mount Zion, 53-22 against Lincoln, and 48-10 against Charleston. They stayed on top, and more importantly, they stayed healthy.
Yeah.
And that is such a big deal this year because so many teams struggled with either COVID or they struggled with just injuries or issues like that. And no team was exempt from that. All teams went through that this season, but Taylorville really, really struggled with injuries and COVID. And Avery, you got to call a few of the Taylorville games this year. We got to go out to Elgin to go call a game at the very beginning of the season as well. But Taylorville finishes the year. Taylorville finishes the year 2-7 overall, 0-5 in the conference. They just could not get things going, and I think the biggest loss for them this season was that Charleston game where they were down big. They came back, nearly pulled off an upset, nearly pulled off a tie against them, but by that time in the season they were really limping along, and having to play both sides of the ball really, really hurt them. They would hang with teams all through the first half, get to the third quarter, and then you could just see them start to wear down a little bit. And I think that was the biggest thing for them. I mean, they lost to Mattoon 12-9. Mount Zion, they struggled against the run against Mount Zion. At Effingham, they ran into issues as well as far as being close at halftime and then just kind of falling apart in that third and fourth quarter. And the same thing against Charleston as well.
Yeah, and I think with Taylorville, you saw flashes all season long. Just not enough consistency on offense and at times defense. The defense looked pretty solid all year, though. I'll give it hats off to the defense. They kept them in games for a lot longer.
And that offensive line that offensive line really did a good job of protecting Cameron Himes and giving him time to throw. And Jeb Odom, Coach Jeb Odom has done a fantastic job with this Taylorville team, despite all of the issues going on and all of the problems that they've run into. And, you look at what they've been able to accomplish despite all that. And they're in good hands. Baron Odom got to play freshman, got to play quarterback last night for one quarter. Ooh. And he is the future for this Taylorville team. Nice. And having a freshman that can come in, he'll be a sophomore next year, be able to lead this team. definitely looking to be something that's going to be great for them moving forward. And I tell you what, it's definitely a big plus for these guys as far as being able to have a quarterback that will be there for 2-3 years that can lead this team. So, and their freshmen and JV have been very, very good, which a lot of, if you're watching, you can attest to that they've been fantastic with being able to play football and be able to hang with some of the big boys. So I'm excited to see what is in store for the Taylorville Tornadoes next season. As it sits, though, for the Apollo Conference and taking a look, Muhammad gets an absolute in. They won 9 games, and Mount Zion is also going to get a conference bid. That is it. Everybody beat each other up. I tell you what, Effingham, Lincoln, Mattoon, and Charleston and Taylorville all finishing with 4, 3, and 2 victories. So definitely beat each other up. But because of the fact that a lot of these teams played a lot of non-conference games, really, really hurt the conference moving forward, as they just were not able to play each other a whole lot. Taylorville only 5 conference games. Charleston's everybody else played 6. Muhammad only played 5 conference games because of that Taylorville game. So just a little bit of struggling trying to get those wins in, as a lot of the teams just beat each other up. You see that in the Big Ten all the time, where the teams just beat each other up, and once they get off to non-conference games, they either absolutely dominate or they absolutely get smoked. They run into the same issues. So that's the big thing for Taylorville and for the Apollo Conference. Again, if you're just joining us at 8:00 tonight, they will reveal the pairings for the playoffs. We'll get to see who our teams will face. We'll talk about Shelbyville, see who Shelbyville has to face. Central A&M as well. We'll go over all of the pairings here for Class 1A and Class 2A. That will be taking place here at 8:00, so just a little bit longer, and we'll be able to get through that. For you, Avery, what were some of the big highlights for you as far as this season goes? What were some of the big stick-out moments for you being brand new to Central Illinois football?
Going around and seeing all the different atmospheres and environments, traveling to different places, went to go see, you mentioned Elgin, I went to go see Mount Zion and how that stadium is and that environment. Going to see some of the premier talent in the area too. There is some good potential Division I talent in Central Illinois. And namely, you saw Christian Cahey and Mount Zion. He was really, he did a number on Taylorville, and unfortunately so for the Tornadoes. But just going around and experiencing new places, that's really been my favorite part of this season so far. But also just watching the development of each and every team too, right? Every team, even if it's Taylorville, who did not pick up an Apollo Conference win this year, they are definitely better than when they started the season. And watching that development and watching programs mature and develop into great programs and great teams, even though some might not be in the playoffs, watching that happen right before your eyes has been really special.
All right. And Jake Leonard says, don't forget the 7-2 Nokomis Redskins. Of course, we could never forget the 7-2 Nokomis Redskins. Nokomis putting together a fantastic season as well, as Nokomis was just tops. You took at what they were doing. Paul Watson doing a fantastic job with that team as they came away with a 54-0 win against Sullivan. Lost to Central A&M 45-14, and then it was nothing but wins for the rest of the season until they faced Pana. They defeated East Alton 24-20. They defeated Litchfield 62-20. They defeated Edwards County 59-3. They defeated Marquette 53-14. Wins against Gillespie 35-12, and wins against Dupo 47-0. Nokomis absolutely blasting almost everybody that they faced. The independent school has clinched a playoff berth. They outscored their opponents 348-131, and Nokomis really standing tall in the independent for the independents.
Now, what did you say that commenter's name was?
Oh, it was from Jake Leonard. Jake Leonard on our
Jake, I'll be
screen.
honest with you. When I watched Central A&M play Nokomis, I wasn't really sure what to think, but it seems like that Central A&M game really fired up that Nokomis team, and I mean, impressive. You think about it, how many points did you say they allowed throughout the season? 138.
Nokomis allowed 131.
131.
They outscored their opponents on average 34-13 on average.
You think about it, that Central A&M game is really just an outlier. If you think about it, giving up 45 points, that's what, like a third of your points on the season. So they obviously figured out something. And, you know, some of the rumbling I think Coach Weekly talked about last night in the postgame show is maybe they'll see a postgame or a postseason opponent in Nokomis and Central A&M, a little bit of a rematch. That would be interesting, wouldn't it?
Yes, it absolutely would. The two teams know each other very, very well and play each other very, very well usually. So it should be a good matchup. And again, that's the Nokomis Redskins, who are independent. They are not in a conference. Oftentimes, they end up being overlooked because of that. We apologize. We did not mean to overlook Nokomis. We got you guys in. Just want
sometimes when you're not in a conference, sometimes you focus a little bit too much on a certain conferences, and those independent schools just get left out. But 7-2 Nokomis, you can never forget about Nokomis,
especially because of their schedule. I mean, they definitely had a decent schedule and were able to really do what they needed to do to come away with a good record. Considering everything that, I mean, they were able to defeat some really, really good. I mean, Wood River has a enrollment of 583. So, I mean, compared to the 179 kids in Nokomis, and Coach Weekly talked about that a little bit too, is, you know, you look at the pandemic and you look at all the COVID, and these players have not really had a whole lot of time off, especially at some of these smaller schools where these guys play multiple sports, where they play basketball and they play football and they play softball. It's been nonstop, and they just have not had the time off. So some much needed time off coming soon, as these guys have worked really, really hard, and it has not been for nothing, as the playoffs are looming and all your hard work is going to be paying off. Again, coming up in this second half of the show, we got a couple more minutes before we have to take our break. But in the second half of our show, we will have all of the pairings. We'll be talking about Class 1A, Class 2A, everything that's going on with those, and who is going to face who. And we'll have all that. You're not going to want to miss it as we get ready to go. But again, there's been some fantastic moments this season, and it'll be interesting to see what other moments we add to this year as we get ready for the playoffs coming.
You know, Leroy, you mentioned too that these kids haven't had a lot of time off in their athletic schedules this year. In a way, as chaotic and crazy and as ready as I'm sure they are for a little bit of rest, in a way, I feel like it's almost benefited each and every student athlete to go through and have limited time but in between seasons. I don't know if you feel the same way, but in a way, it's kind of kept them on their game, so to speak, much more so than if you, all right, now I have a full, 9 months before I got to put the pads on again. Instead, 3 months before you ended in May, and then by August you're already, or July
starting up again. Yeah.
You already have your pads back on and you're practicing again. And I think, you know, Coach Bill Duckett of the Shelbyville Rams said it too, that these conferences are just much closer and teams are beating each other up much more and more, rather than there being a bunch of solid undefeated teams throughout. In a way, I think that's been, for the competitive aspect and just the development of players, I think that in a way it's been the best thing for them.
It really has. And when you look at what they've accomplished, I was joking with Coach Weekly. I don't know if we'd be able to handle going through a pandemic and being able to handle all that. They've done a fantastic job as far as being able to do that. All right, we are out of time. When we come back for the 8 o'clock hour, we'll have much more as we talk a little bit about what we have going on with pairings for the playoffs. IHSA is going to start releasing their results around 8 o'clock for the pairings. We'll have all that coming up to you here in just a little bit as we give you all of the highlights coming up for who and what is going on for the football playoffs. All that coming up here in the 8 o'clock hour. More coming your way here in just a little bit on the WTIM, your information station, Prairie Farms Dairy Pigskin Playoff Preview Show. We'll be right back in just a few moments right here on WTIM.
From Regional Radio, TaylorvilleDailyNews.com, and the WTIM app. This is local information making a difference.
I'm Avery Cooper reporting. The Illinois Department of Resources continues to warn motorists to be on the lookout for deer.
It's deer season, not only for the hunting aspect, whether it's firearm or archery, but it's also deer mating season. And as our days get shorter, the temperatures get cooler, the leaves start to drop. Both our department and the Department of Transportation, IDOT, work very closely together to make sure that we do everything we can to help prepare people to spot deer and to be able to respond to deer as we're actively driving and as they're actively moving themselves from field to field. And especially at dawn and at dusk through this month and all the way through December. So when you think about seeing a deer, instinctively you want to veer when that deer suddenly, surprisingly appears. Best thing to do, and it's hard because you're processing so many things at once, is slow down, pay attention where you think you might be in an area. Don't veer for the deer. Don't swerve. So just be aware of your surroundings, scan the sides of the roads. You can look for that reflection, the classic deer in the headlight. Of course, slow down when you see them, prepare for the unexpected. And if a collision is inevitable, and I think this is key, and many of us have been there, when that collision is inevitable, if you can, do your best just to try to glance the vehicle off the deer and avoid swerving, because that gets you into opposite lanes of traffic, into a ditch.
IDNR Director Colleen Callahan says most vehicle collisions with deer in Illinois occur in October through December. 145 school districts, the governor, the Illinois Department of Public Health, and the Illinois State Board of Education are named in class action lawsuits this week. The lawyer behind it, Tom DeVore, an opponent to mask mandates and government shutdowns during the pandemic. The current suit questions the legality of the IDPH and the ISBE mask mandates in schools and the exclusion of children from school who have been a close contact to someone with COVID-19. Governor J.B. Pritzker says DeVore is being opportunistic and has no regard for public health.
He's a grifter who is taking money from parents who are being taken advantage of.
The first hearing on the case will be November 5th in the 7th District Court in Carlinville. More news at TaylorvilleDailyNews.com.
Local information that makes a difference. Here's your regional weather.
Chance of showers and a thunderstorm tonight, a low of 51 degrees. Tomorrow, pretty windy, up to 26 miles an hour at times. Also showers and possibly a thunderstorm, a high of 71. And that'll linger into Sunday night, a low of 50 degrees. Looking ahead, Monday, mostly cloudy with a high of 56. Tuesday, sunny with a high of 58. Weather anytime at 217-824-6101 or TaylorvilleDailyNews.com.
High school football means lots of action up and down the field, touchdowns, and cheering on your favorite team. You and your family need the nutrition and protein that farmer-owned Prairie Farms dairy products provide. Prairie Farms milk, flavored milk, cottage cheese, yogurt, dip, sour cream, and 100% Florida orange juice all provide lots of protein, vitamins, and minerals for the game or day-to-day activities. Choose farmer-owned Prairie Farms dairy products at your grocer or convenience store dairy case to stay in the game.
On Big 870 WTIM Assumption Taylorville, 96.1 W241 CF Taylorville, 107.5 W298 CD Shelbyville, 107.9 W300 Payne and Nokomis.
Breaking news this hour from townhall.com. I'm Ron DeRockstrup. The Fed apparently not ready to raise rates just yet.
Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell eased fears over any near-term rise in interest rates, while noting the fastest rise in consumer prices in over 3 decades. Powell says it's premature to raise interest rates. Powell says problems with supply chains and the skyrocketing inflation rate will resolve themselves over time.
Keith Peters reporting. Court records state Alec Baldwin fatally shot a cinematographer on a New Mexico film set with a gun that a crew member had assured the actor didn't carry live ammunition. The tragic mistake came hours and days after some workers on the production voiced concerns about on-set safety and other disputes. Court records say the assistant director grabbed a prop gun off a cart at the Desert Movie Ranch and handed it to Baldwin during a Thursday rehearsal for the Western film Rust. When Baldwin pulled the trigger, he unwittingly killed the cinematographer and wounded the director. Taliban and health officials say a roadside bombing targeting a Taliban vehicle in eastern Afghanistan killed at least 2 civilians.
According to a police chief, 2 bombs detonated as a Taliban vehicle was passing by, killing 1 child. No Taliban fighters were harmed. A local hospital official said 2 bodies and 4 wounded civilians were transferred to the hospital after the attack. No one immediately claimed responsibility for the bombing in eastern Nangarhar province. However, the Islamic State group has launched frequent attacks there targeting the Taliban.
It's Sarah Shackley reporting. North Korea today accusing the Biden administration of raising military tensions with China through what it's calling reckless backing of Taiwan, and says the growing U.S. military presence in the region constitutes a potential threat to Pyongyang. News and analysis at townhall.com.
Dr. Cahokia here, and I want to talk to you for a minute about the 100% drug-free relief factor. We all deal with aches and pains in our day-to-day lives, and I have had my fair share, including injuries like a detached quad muscle that I can tell you fell into the category of really bad pain. But I've been able to manage the pain by taking Relief Factor. It helps your own body to attack and fight off sources of inflammation, the source of most of our aches and pains, and I've loved it for years now. Almost 70% of the more than 500,000 people who have tried Relief Factor end up ordering more. That's because it works for them the way it worked for me. Isn't it time for you to get out of pain? Your first step to becoming pain-free should be to order the 3-week quick starter pack for the discounted price of only $19.95. Go to relieffactor.com, call 800-4RELIEF to find out more about this offer. Feel the difference.
There has been a frenzy of trading for the company planning to bring former President Trump's new media venture to the stock market.
Trading had to be stopped temporarily for Digital World Acquisition Corp. after its stock value nearly tripled. It ended the day with a 107% gain. It plans to merge with Trump Media and Technology Group. The new venture is the Truth Social app with Trump as its chairman. The idea is to challenge Facebook, Twitter, and even Disney's streaming video service. Some investors appear to be believers in Donald Trump's ideology. Others appear simply to be grabbing for a chance at a quick profit. I'm Ed Donahue.
A federal magistrate determined yesterday Maryland Governor Larry Hogan's former chief of staff can remain free before his trial on charges that he defrauded a state agency that he led by inducing it to pay him nearly $280,000 in severance pay. Townhall.com. A Florida man's in jail on murder charges over a dispute involving a cat.
58-year-old Clifford Anthony Bliss Jr. became angry when the cat went into his yard. The Marion County Sheriff's Office said he went to his neighbor's home and threatened to shoot the cat. After James Arnold Taylor Jr. asked him not to shoot his cat, Bliss then shot Taylor. Bliss was arrested and charged with second-degree murder. He was being held without bond in the Marion County Jail. Patrick Voss reporting.
10 foreign ambassadors who called for the release of a jailed philanthropist were ordered to be declared persona non grata by Turkish President Erdogan. The envoys, including the U.S., French, and German representatives and Ankara, issued a statement earlier in the week calling for a resolution to the case of a businessman and philanthropist who's been held in prison since 2017 despite not having been convicted of a crime. More on these stories at townhall.com. I'm Rhonda Rockstrup.
High school football means lots of action up and down the field, touchdowns, and cheering on your favorite team. You and your family need the nutrition and protein that farmer-owned Prairie Farms dairy products provide. Prairie Farms milk, flavored milk, cottage cheese, yogurt, dip, sour cream, and 100% Florida orange juice all provide lots of protein, vitamins, and minerals for the game or day-to-day activities. Choose farmer-owned Prairie Farms dairy products at your grocer or convenience store dairy case to stay in the game.
Local information that makes a difference. Here's your regional weather.
Chance of showers and a thunderstorm tonight, a low of 51 degrees. Tomorrow, pretty windy, up to 26 miles an hour at times. Also showers and possibly a thunderstorm, a high of 71. And that'll linger into Sunday night, a low of 50 degrees. Looking ahead, Monday mostly cloudy with a high of 56. Tuesday, sunny with a high of 58. Weather anytime at 217-824-6101 or TaylorvilleDailyNews.com.
And welcome back to the WTIM, your information station, WTIM Prairie Farms Dairy Pigskin Playoff Preview Show. I'm just going to say WTIM like 8 times. TIM. There we go. We got it in there. Leroy Kleimola alongside Avery Cooper.
Hello.
It's 8 o'clock.
Oh my gosh.
You know what that
excited.
means?
Yes,
you know what that
I'm so
means?
excited. Yes.
That means,
Are you ready?
We are ready.
Are you ready?
We're ready and we're ready.
All right. Are you ready, Mr. Kleimola? Are you ready?
As
Mr.
ready as
Kleimola?
I'll ever be, Mr. Cooper. No, we're waiting
having
for
too much fun.
Yeah, we really are. We're waiting for the IHSA to start revealing results here for the playoff pairings. It's going to start basically any moment now that we'll start getting some results in as far as what's going on for who these guys are going to be playing. And we're really, really excited as they get ready to go. Obviously, the state championship games, everybody's looking forward to that Friday, November 26th. Friday, November 26th will be the site for all Class 1A through 4A championships, Northern Illinois University. That's where the action will be in DeKalb. And then Saturday, November 27th will be the big boys. 5A through 8A will be on Saturday. So they will have all of that for you as we get ready to go here, taking a look and trying to see what's going on with these playoff matchups as they come in. We'll have them available for you as well as we're ready to go here. There's some, obviously, when you look at these teams that are in, we already know some of these teams that are going to be in the playoffs.
Right.
Central A&M in, Nokomis in, who else? Pena in,
St. Teresa
in, Rochester in,
Vandalia in.
Yep. So we already know some of these schools that are going to be in. We're just waiting for these results to start pouring in so we can get them to you, and excited to see what is taking place here in just a few moments as we wait for these results to come in. As we look at, we got teams that are playing in 1A, 2A, and then I think we have Mount Zion and Rochester in 4A. Those are the other two local areas, schools that we're worried about. But yeah, definitely coming up any moment now here as we get ready to go. Sorry, we're kind of stalling a little bit here as we don't have too much going on. But if you have any questions, feel free to shoot us a message on our stream. Let us know what you got going on as far as questions or concerns, or you can give us a call, 824-9846. I'll take a call. I got time.
Yeah, we got time. Why not?
Time to take a call. We got things ready to go. Talk to you a little bit about what's going on as we take a look at the playoff outlook for some of these teams. As a lot of these teams, especially for these lower classes, you look at all they've accomplished. Yeah, Nokomis in on that playoff spot. Central A&M, as we said, for 1A, for 2A. There's so many of these playoff spots that are good to go, and take a look at some of these big matchups that they've had.
Right.
Some of these teams, Avery, it came down to the last game.
Right. And and some of them are still on the bubble. We say, we talked to Shelbyville and we're expecting that they're going to be in, but with 5 wins, they don't have an official playoff clinch yet. And there's a lot of teams this year that are like that.
Yep. But 5 wins does get you usually in that large spot. So unless something absolutely crazy happens, there shouldn't be any issues as far as Shelbyville getting in. I think somebody said that they would give up their car if Shelbyville didn't get a playoff spot. So I'm not too concerned about them getting in on that.
Oh yeah, and there's similar situations for Meridian and other schools with 5 wins. Other schools in the same area, including looking around, not a ton in this area, but lots of teams with 5 wins on the bubble that are just kind of crossing their fingers and hoping. And again, they, giving up your car, that's a pretty healthy bet. That's a bet that you would, you don't really take because someone is so confident.
All right. And we have results that are pouring in
yes.
right now. Are you ready to go?
I'm ready. Let's
All
go.
right. Let's take a look at Class 1A. Class 1A is what we're looking at first. Abingdon, 8-1, is going to take on Anawan.
Where is Abingdon? Not sure.
I don't know. Do you know where Abingdon is? I
No, I
apologize.
don't.
If you live in Abingdon, you're listening to this, I apologize. I do not know where it is.
Hey, but also, if you live in Abingdon and you're listening to Central Illinois, good for you. Thank you.
Should we look it up? Let's look it up. I'm not doing this for every school, but they're a 1 seed, so I'll look it up. Abingdon.
I know. Oh,
it's in Knox County. It's west
Okay.
of Peoria.
okay.
It's west of Peoria. There we go. We're learning Illinois geography today as well. Iroquois West taking on Monmouth United. The 8 and 9 seeds will play against each other. Rushville, number 4, taking on Ridgeview. That's the 7-2 matchup against the 5-4 matchup. Peru St. Bede taking on Hope Academy. Iowa Marquette taking on Princeville. Fulton taking on Raby. Forreston taking on Galena. And Lena Winslow taking on Aurora Christian. All right, let's take a look as we continue to go. Oh, here we go. Local.
Yes, local.
Camp Point Central, number 1 seed. They will take on Villa Grove, 8-1 versus 5-4. The winner of that game will take on the winner of Nokomis versus Central A&M. Coach Weekly gets his matchup that he wants.
He totally
Coach
called
Weekly
it.
gets the matchup that he's looking forward to, and you look at Nokomis, and I'm pretty sure Paul Watson would be happy about that matchup as well.
I think both sides are pretty happy about that matchup.
Yep,
A rematch.
8 versus 9. The winner of that game will take on Camp Point Central or Villa Grove. Looking at the rest of Class 1A, Cumberland takes on Brown County. Arcola takes on West Central Co-op. Carrollton taking on Shelbyville. Carrollton at 8-1 will take on number 15, Shelbyville. Shelbyville will have their hands full, but if anybody can get them there, it's Coach Duckett. Greenfield Northwest Co-op will take on Salt Fork. The winner of that game will take on the winner of the Carrollton-Shelbyville game. Athens will take on Macon Meridian. So Meridian will take on Athens. And Cesar Valier Co-op will take on Casey Westfield. Casey Westfield against Cesar Valor Co-op. Avery, some interesting matchups there in the Class 1A.
Yeah, very interesting, especially that Nokomis Co-op versus Central A&M. What a matchup. You get the chance for a rematch for Nokomis, where that's the last game they lost, and then that's got to still be in the back of their mind. It's been a driver for the rest of the season from that point. And Central A&M says, well, we handled Nokomis just fine. This is a great matchup for us. The one downside for Central A&M, they have to go to Nokomis. Nokomis hosting that playoff game in the first round. And if you're Central A&M too, that same driver of Nokomis is kind of driving you too, because if you beat Nokomis, then and you think, well, okay, is Camp Point Central going to beat Villa Grove? And if you think yes, then you might have a rematch against Camp Point Central High School, where Central A&M lost just 2 weeks ago, and they really had their opportunities. They had tons of opportunities against Camp Point Central. And you think, well, hey, we might have a decent shot at heading to the quarterfinals if you're Central A&M, that is. But
YouTube user Silly Zipper 0 says A&M will blow out Nokomis.
Oh,
So.
All right. He's ready. He's ready.
I love it. All right.
I love the smack talk happening already.
We have 2A results that are in. Let's jump to the 2A results, see what we got going on. Wilmington taking on Julian. Mercer County taking on Newman. Knoxville taking on Bishop McNamara. Erie Prophetstown taking on Clifton Central. Tri-Valley taking on Rockridge. Deer Creek Mackinac taking on North Lawndale. Farmington taking on El Paso Gridley. And Tremont taking on Moments. And again, if I butcher the name of the town, I'm sure you'll let me know. But again, I'm doing the best that
Please
I
let
can.
us know too. Yes,
St.
I'd love to learn.
Teresa taking on Flora. Obviously, we knew St. Teresa was going to have a number 1 seed being 9-0, but they take on Flora. Vandalia taking on Chester. The winner of that game will take on the winner of the St. Teresa Flora game. Breeze Mater D taking on Carmi White County. Johnston City taking on Lawrenceville. Pana, your time has come.
There you go.
Take on Arthur Lovington. Arthur
go.
Lovington against Pana. Number 2 seed Pana taking on number 15 Arthur Lovington. Moreau Forsyth taking on Westville. Winner of that game will take on Pana Arthur Lovington. Bismarck Henning taking on North Mac, and Nashville taking on Unity Payson Co-op. What do you see from those matchups?
Well, I'll tell you what, I would have hated to be on the selection committee for these number 1 seeds because you have a good 7 or 8, 9-0 teams in Class 2A. And you looked at it and you wondered, okay, why isn't Pana going to be a 1 seed? Well, it's because St. Teresa 1 was so dominant, right? But you also had 6 other 9-0 undefeated teams that they had to figure out, okay, where are we going to put them? And that includes Wilmington, Tri-Valley, Farmington, Breeze Mater Dei, Pana, and obviously St. Teresa, Bismarck Henning. I mean, those are all great programs, and someone somewhere had to make the call between, all right, do we put Pana at number 1 or do we put him at number 2? And then after that, there were 6 others that they had to make decisions over other teams. That's just shows you the competitiveness of the Class 2A bracket this year.
Silly Zipper saying Pana will make a lot of noise. South bracket is stacked. And Zip, I agree with you, bud. It is stacked. Absolutely. That's coming from our YouTube feed from our show tonight. We got to take a quick break. We'll be back with more of these classes, Class 3A and Class 4A, coming up here in just a few moments right here on WTIM, your information station, Prairie Farms Dairy Pigskin Playoff Preview Show. We'll be right back right after this.
High school football means lots of action up and down the field, touchdowns, and cheering on your favorite team. You and your family need the nutrition and protein that farmer-owned Prairie Farms dairy products provide. Prairie Farms milk, flavored milk, cottage cheese, yogurt, dip, sour cream, and 100% Florida orange juice all provide lots of protein, vitamins, and minerals for the game or day-to-day activities. Choose farmer-owned Prairie Farms dairy products at your grocer or convenience store dairy case to stay in the game.
This is Dwayne Wheeler, the police chief of the city of Taylorville. As a law enforcement officer, I've seen the impact that depression and suicide have on many people. Many times, those contemplating suicide endure considerable suffering and distress, but there is help. If you feel depressed or lonely, there are many resources to help you. You can call a trusted relative, friend, or minister, or call the Suicide Prevention Lifeline at 1-800-273-TALK. That is 1-800-273-TALK. All of us are here to help you. Thank you.
WTIM on its many platforms, AM, FM, and online brings you Taylorville Tornado football, boys and girls basketball all season long, and playoff games of all teams. Tornado sports on WTIM and streamed live on TaylorvilleDailyNews.com are brought to you by Advanced Title Group, Nikes Floor Coverings, McClure-Hallberg Insurance, all in Taylorville, and your farmer-owned dairy, Prairie Farms.
The purple and gold are coming your way. The Taylorville Tornadoes are going to do it today.
Tune in to this RFD Radio Network affiliate Saturday mornings from 9:06 until 9:30 when we present the RFD Trading Post to advertise your farm-related items to buy, sell, trade, or give away. Call the toll-free number we give during the show to get your farm-related items advertised across the state and listed on rfdtradingpost.com. And find instructions on getting your farm-related items read on the show in our mailbag segment for 30 days for just $20. The RFD Trading Post, Saturday mornings from 9:06 till 9:30 on this RFD Radio Network station.
C&B Bank and Trust is helping to open doors for your wealth. Schedule your appointment with Victor Henson by clicking their icon at TaylorvilleDailyNews.com. Not FDIC insured, no bank guarantee, may lose value.
Hi, I'm Bob Raddings of the Bob Raddings family of dealerships. See our huge inventory of about 2,000 vehicles by clicking on our ad at TaylorvilleDailyNews.com.
Local information that makes a difference. Here's your regional weather.
Chance of showers and a thunderstorm tonight, a low of 51 degrees. Tomorrow, pretty windy, up to 26 miles an hour at times. Also showers and possibly a thunderstorm, a high of 71. And that'll linger into Sunday night, a low of 50 degrees. Looking ahead, Monday, mostly cloudy with a high of 56. Tuesday, sunny with a high of 58. Weather anytime at 217-824-6101 or TaylorvilleDailyNews.com.
That's us. WTIM, your information station.
Time for us.
Prairie Farms Dairy Pigskin Playoff Preview Show. Leroy Kleimola alongside Avery Cooper. Glad to have you guys with us as we go through these matchups. Take a look at Class 3A really quick. We don't have too many schools that are here for 3A, but we're going to go over them regardless. Byron taking on Catalyst, Maria Lyle taking on Carver, Reed Custer taking on Payatone, Clark taking on Elmwood, Brimfield, Princeton taking on North Boone, Prairie Central taking on King, Pecatonica taking on Mendota, IC Catholic taking on Monmouth, Roseville. Really, you only guys are having me do this so you can hear me mess up all these town names.
You're doing a good job, Leroy.
Tolono Unity taking on Newton. Somebody's listening going, no, you're not, Leroy.
No.
Paxton Buckley Loda taking on Eureka. Williamsville taking on Beardstown. Fairfield taking on Hoopston area. Mount Carmel taking on St. Joseph Ogden. Carlinville taking on DeCoin. Benton taking on Piazza Southwestern. Monticello taking on Greenville in the 3A matchups.
I think you did a great job just because you were willing to do it.
Oh, my goodness. That is what is going on. All right, let's see if we don't have, what is that? No, we haven't gotten 4A yet, so we're still holding off. I know there's a couple schools in 4A that we're keeping an eye on, but we'll have those for you in a second. But Avery, go ahead and one more time, for those who may be just tuning in right now, go over the Class 1A one more time.
We'll start at the South because that's where it's a little bit more local. But for the 1 seed, they'll host Villa Grove, 5-4 Villa Grove. Nokomis Co-op taking on Central A&M. Nokomis hosting Central A&M. The Raiders beat Nokomis earlier in the season, about week 2 or week 3. The 4 seed Cumberland hosting Brown County, 5 seed Arcola hosting 12 seed West Central Co-op, 2 seed, is it Carrollton? Carrollton hosting Shelbyville. The Rams get their opponent and they are a 15 seed in Class 1A. 7 seed Greenfield Northwest Co-op hosting Salt Fork. Athens hosting Meridian, and Cesar Valley Co-op hosting KC Westfield. In the north, Abingdon, I beg your pardon, hosting Anawan Westerfield. Iroquois West is hosting Monmouth United. Rushville hosting Ridgeview. Peru St. Bede.
See?
See,
Look
somebody
at that.
did it. Anyway, they're hosting Hope Academy. Ottawa Marquette. I'm sorry. Ottawa Marquette is hosting Princeville. Fulton hosting Raby. Forreston hosting Galena. 6 seed Lena Winslow hosting 11 seed Aurora Christian. That is your 1A schedule for the Pigskin playoff preview.
Yeah,
Want me to go ahead and run through 2A real quick?
Hold on.
Or?
Yeah, really quick. Just 1 second, though.
Right.
Nicholas Law on YouTube saying Carlinville is tough as well. And again, there are some very, very good, very talented teams that are going to be playing in these playoff games. Some very, very tough matchups. We've already talked about a few of them tonight as far as these tough matchups go. Some of these teams are going to have their work cut out for them. Other teams are probably licking their chops as they get ready for the playoffs. But everybody starts back at 0-0. That's nice thing about the playoffs is everybody starts off at 0-0, and you win, you move on. You
You're going to
lose,
see some upsets.
You go home.
Sorry
so
to cut you
we're
off,
excited to see what matchups that we're going to have. Avery Cooper, it's your turn to read the 2A matchups. I'm going to see if we got 4A up yet.
Wilmington, undefeated Wilmington is the 1 seed in the north, and they host Julian, 5-4. Mercer County hosting Newman. Both teams 6-3. The 8 and 9 seeds doing battle, and they'll face the winner of Wilmington or Julian. Knoxville hosting Bishop McNamara. Got it right. Okay, I'm getting the head nod from Leroy. The head nod of approval. Erie Prophetstown hosting Clifton Central. Tri-Valley hosting Rockridge. And they will face either Deer Creek Mackinac or North Lawndale. Deer Creek Mackinac hosting North Lawndale. Farmington hosting El Paso Gridley. And Tremont hosting Moments. In the South, and here's where it gets really interesting. One commenter even said it's stacked, and I'd agree with them. There are, looking at it, 4 undefeated teams in the South, and only one of them is going to, maybe none of them could be undefeated by the end of it, but 1 seed in the South, St. Teresa hosting Flora, the 16 seed at 5-4. And the winner of that game will face either Vandalia or Chester. 8 seed Vandalia hosting Chester. Breeze Mater Dei 9-0, the 4
Major
seed.
D.
Oh, Mater D. And hosting Carmi White.
See?
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard.
Look at
I'm not,
that.
you know, I gave you a hard time, but I'm having a hard time myself. Johnson City hosting Lawrenceville. Undefeated Pana hosting Arthur Lovington. And assuming Pana wins, which again, that's not a lock, they would take on either Maroa Forsyth or Westville. Number 3 seed Bismarck Henning hosting North Mac. Bismarck Henning, one of the other undefeated teams in the South, and Nashville at 8-1, the 6 seed hosting Unity Payson Co-op. Those are your rundown for your 1A, 2A playoff brackets. And again, there's 7 undefeated teams. Let me double check that. I believe it's 7 undefeated teams in the 2A bracket. Yeah, 7 undefeated teams. 3 in the North, 4 in the South. And you only get 2 1 seeds. Somebody, man, again, I would have hated to have been on the selection committee for the 2A, trying to determine who misses out on the 1 seed and whatnot. But it's going to be a great playoff. So competitive, especially in that 2A. 1A, not to say that they're not going to be competitive, but the South and the 2A, as the prior commenter said, is just absolutely stacked.
Yeah, it really is. And, you know, you look at what these teams, just so many good matchups. I tell you what. All right, we're going to try to get some more of these matchups here. We got Class 4A. Take a look at these matchups. Rochester taking on Cahokia. Rochester finishing the season 8-1, Cahokia 5-4. They will take on the winner of the Mount Zion Paris game. Mount Zion, who uses a huge running game to play. They're going to have to use that. They take on Paris 6-3 and 6-3. Freeburg taking on Richland County. Carterville taking on Harrisburg. Breeze Central taking on Salem. Murfreesboro Co-op taking on Macomb. Sacred Heart Griffin taking on Columbia. And Quincy Notre Dame taking on Civic Memorial. Just saw Civic Memorial yesterday. Logan Turbyfill, 2 touchdowns yesterday against the Tornadoes. He is fantastic. Joliet Catholic taking on Marengo. Wheaton Academy taking on Cole City. Genoa Kingston taking on Bogan. St. Francis taking on Peoria Notre Dame. Richmond Burton taking on Shai Sullivan. Stillman Valley against Hyde Park. Kewanee against Plano. And Phillips against Dixon. We're only doing Class 1A to Class 4A. We're not going in depth with 5A through 8A. We don't have any really area teams that are
local interest at all.
Yeah, so we won't be touching those. But still, some very, very good matchups here as we take a look at some of these teams and some of these matchups. Again, Avery, we talked about it a little bit earlier, but what matchups are you looking forward to?
That Mount Zion matchup is going to be really interesting. You mentioned they use such a run game based approach, and I really like that style. Even when they're passing the ball, they're really just running the ball. They're setting up the receivers to run it on these screens and wheel routes and stuff like that, where they're just dumping it out into the flat and letting their playmakers run in space. And that's really so much part of the spread. Just about every team, it seems, has really adopted the spread in Central Illinois. And also, I'm, of course, looking back into 1A. I'm really looking forward to Nokomis and Central A&M. That is probably the most local matchup you can get, at least in terms of Central Illinois here in Taylorville. But Shelbyville also taking on Carrollton. Really looking forward to seeing what the Rams can do. They're a very talented team with a lefty quarterback, which is always just fun to watch, regardless of the outcome of any game. And Meridian, of course, taking on Athens. Really looking forward to that. And then in the 2A, really wondering how this bracket's going to stand out, because the way it works, if Pana can make it into the semifinals, they might end up facing St. Teresa, which has just been dominant all year long. But, of course, St. Teresa has to get through Flora, and the winner of Vandalia and Chester, and one of the winners of Breeze Mater Dei and
St. Mater D.
Why is there? Anyway, Carmi White County and Johnson City and Lawrenceville. And, St. Teresa and Pana will end up having to face one of those teams at one point. It'll just be really interesting to see how it shakes out. So, again, Pana taking on Arthur Lovington. Really interested to see how that works out. And Pana, I'm really interested to see if they're able to make it past this first round and into the quarter and semifinals, who they end up facing. Pana is going to make some noise, but they have a stacked schedule against them. 3 other undefeated teams in the South bracket. And that's going to be really interesting to see if they end up running into another undefeated team. The earliest that could happen is in the quarterfinals. If Bismarck Henning takes care of business against North Mac in the winner of Nashville and Unity Pace and Co-op, then it could be a undefeated matchup in the quarterfinals for the right to go to the semifinals. And that's going to be really interesting as well in the 2A. And as I mentioned, Mount Zion, really looking forward to Mount Zion and Rochester as well. Rochester, a 5-4 matchup. Don't let that deceive you. It's still going to be a good game, but really I'm interested in seeing who Rochester faces between Mount Zion and Paris in round 2 in the Class 4A bracket.
Some great matchups coming up. We'll have more here from the Prairie Farms Dairy WTIM, your information station, Pigskin playoff preview show in just a little bit right here on WTIM, your information station. We'll be right back right after this.
High school football means lots of action up and down the field, touchdowns, and cheering on your favorite team. You and your family need the nutrition and protein that farmer-owned Prairie Farms dairy products provide. Prairie Farms milk, flavored milk, cottage cheese, yogurt, dip, sour cream, and 100% Florida orange juice all provide lots of protein, vitamins, and minerals for the game or day-to-day activities. Choose farmer-owned Prairie Farms dairy products at your grocer or convenience store dairy case to stay in the game.
This is Jim Adcock with People's Bank and Trust, where customers have one business banker who understands their business and provides the right financial services to achieve their goals. Your business banker is your single source for all your financial needs, from cash management to lines of credit, from mortgages to equipment loans, and everything in between. Call me at 888-PBT-1954. Bank with People's Bank and Trust, so you can spend your time running your business, not explaining it. At People's Bank and Trust, we put people first. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Man, I wish there was someone that could wash my dirty windows.
Window Genie can do that. They clean windows and a whole lot more. Window Genie is now available in your community and can help wash the winter off your home. They are a neighborly company specializing in window cleaning, window tinting, pressure washing, gutter cleaning, deck cleaning, and more.
This is owner Jerry Lowry. I invite you to call me today at 217-675-7711 and let us help you improve the look and value of your home.
Window Genie. We clean windows and a whole lot more.
Your nonprofit organization can attract people to your fundraising event by reaching our 7 groups of listeners and readers. Hi, I'm Teresa Nelson, an account manager here at Miller Media Group. Part of my job is helping nonprofit organizations promote their activities. We offer our lowest rate for radio commercials and offer 1 free ad for each ad purchased, plus a discounted rate on TaylorvilleDailyNews.com. Find out more on our Miller Media Group nonprofit advertising campaigns by contacting me, Teresa Nelson, at 824-3395. That's 824-3395.
Across the region, Memorial has come together under a single name and a new symbol of health. To learn more, see our ad at TaylorvilleDailyNews.com.
Rainey Miller here from Run Deep Coaching, offering personal and business coaching. Let me strengthen your gifts you already have inside by offering one-on-one coaching to improve your life. Find out more by clicking the Run Deep Coaching icon at TaylorvilleDailyNews.com.
Local information that makes a difference. Here's your regional weather.
Chance of showers and a thunderstorm tonight, a low of 51 degrees. Tomorrow, pretty windy, up to 26 miles an hour at times. Also showers and possibly a thunderstorm, a high of 71. And that'll linger into Sunday night, a low of 50 degrees. Looking ahead, Monday, mostly cloudy with a high of 56. Tuesday, sunny with a high of 58. Weather anytime at 217-824-6101 or TaylorvilleDailyNews.com.
WTIM, your information station. Pana, no, not Pana, Prairie. I was writing Pana and I said Pana. All right.
You get what
WTIM
happened.
Prairie Farms Dairy Pigskin Playoff Preview Show.
I don't know if I've ever seen you blush like that.
Shut up. Yes. All right. Well, we have all of the matchups here. I'd like to thank you all for we'll get it all taken care of here. Let's Nicholas Law has a question on YouTube, and he wants to know, is Pana playing at home?
Yes, they're going to start off at home against Arthur Lovington. And if they win, they'll be at home in the second round. The earliest that they're going to be on the road is in even into the semifinals, actually, it looks like, because they're the 2 seed. The only time they wouldn't be at home is if they faced St. Teresa. So if St. Teresa somehow manages to lose one of their games, and I'll be honest, I'll be surprised just from an analyst standpoint. I don't think that St. Teresa will lose, but you never know. It is the playoffs, and that's what we have the playoffs for. But again, Pana won't see a road game until at the very least the semifinals. And if not the semifinals, then maybe in the finals, where you'd have to have some sort of, I'm not really sure if maybe a 2 or a 1 seed in the North perhaps made it all the way to the finals. But then again, that's a neutral site game anyway, if I'm correct, right? If you make it to the finals, they're both technically road games,
right? And we don't even have the real dates for these games yet.
Right.
Obviously, dates and times are still to be announced, but the higher seed, at least for round 1, will be the home seed. So in the case of Nokomis versus Central A&M, because Nokomis is the 8th seed, they will be the home team for that Nokomis Central A&M game. Carrollton versus Shelbyville, Carrollton will be the home team. Taking a look at some of these other brackets that we have going on as well. Pana will host Arthur, which is fantastic for Pana fans, because I tell you what, going out to Arthur, that is a long drive.
It's a great time to have them come to you. That's already a home field advantage.
Right, and I think that's a little bit underestimated as far as how far some of these teams have to travel for that. So Vandalia, Chester, that will be in Vandalia. Let's see what else we got. What else we got going on? Yeah, all of these will be at home for whoever the higher seed is, which obviously is a big deal for some of these teams that we know that they have a long way to go.
Yeah, and you mentioned too how far some teams will have to travel to go face their opponent, including, Arthur Lovington heading up to Pana. Sometimes you don't realize how big of a state Illinois is when you're looking at it on a map until you have to drive, say, from the north end all the way down to the south end or west to east. It's that is such a home field advantage. The fact that you and your team don't have to travel 3 to 6 to 8 hours to face your opponent. That's already an advantage.
And the thing is you say that, and IHSA has the maps.
Right, do they?
They have the maps up, so you can see how far some of these teams are traveling as far as where they're going. And some of these are going across the state or from the south to the central. Some of these are all over the place as far as where they're going. So some interesting traveling that'll be going on here as we go ahead and take a look at some of these matchups as we are looking at that and trying to figure out here, pull it up. I'm going to make you talk for a little bit, Avery.
All right, what's up?
Well, I'm trying to find where one of these teams is, and I can't find it. So, there we go. Muhammad.
Okay.
Was what I was looking for. They will host Jacksonville High School. The 9-0 Muhammad Bulldogs taking on Jacksonville in Class 5A. That's the 3 versus the 14 seed.
Oh, okay.
Troy. So the thing about that, 9-0, and you are a 3 seed.
Wow. See, and that's the kind of the thing that Pana's running into as well. They're 9-0 and they're a 2 seed.
Yep,
over
they got
Class 2A.
Kankakee will take on Carbondale in 5A. Peoria taking on Chicago. Peoria taking on Morgan Park out of Chicago. Mascoutah taking on Dunlap. Marion taking on Metamora. Morris taking on LaSalle, Peru. Morton taking on Highland. Muhammad taking on Jacksonville. Troy taking on Country Club Hills. In the top part, in the north of the Class 5A, Glen Ellen taking on Chicago. Evergreen taking on Sycamore. Sterling taking on St. Patrick. Rochelle taking on Peyton. Fenwick taking on Caneland. Brooks taking on Boylan Catholic. Good taking on Nazareth Academy. Noble taking on Marmion Academy as well, as we start getting in some of the higher big boy brackets here for Class 5A, Class 6A. 6A, Cary taking on Rockford East. Belvedere taking on Grays Lake. Deerfield taking on Mather out of Chicago. Amundsen taking on Central out Crystal Lake. Wakanda taking on Lake Villa. Crystal Lakes taking on Vernon Hills. McKesney Park taking on Crystal Lake. Lake Forest versus Antioch. Lamont versus Kennedy. Rock Island taking on Springfield High School in an 8-9 matchup. Springfield sitting at 6-3. We'll have to travel all the way to Rock Island for that matchup. Whew. Wow. East St. Louis taking on Riverside. Oak Lawn taking on Chicago. Simeon. St. Ignatius taking on Bremen. Crete Moni taking on Glenwood. Kenwood taking on Centennial. And Washington taking on Community West out of Normal. And then finally for our 8A bracket that we have. And they're not up yet. We don't have our 8A brackets up yet.
All right.
We got all the way up through 7A. So
I'm impressed you got through the 5, 6, and 7.
That's
though.
right.
Props
Working hard
to you,
on it.
Leroy.
Working hard on it. We got it. Let's see. 4. We got our. I think we did. Did we do our? Yeah, we did 4 because Mount Zion taking on Paris. So we're up to date. We're up to date. We're good to go. We're good to go. If you're watching our stream, we do have Class 1A and Class 2A on a ticker. I'm having fun with this program, trying to figure out how to get all this stuff to work. So I'm pretty excited here as we get this. See, I'm messing with the colors and everything, Avery. I'm having
I could see. I'm
having way too much fun over here with this. Ooh, that's awful.
For those who can't see the stream, I'm a bit behind your desktop, so I can't really see what you're doing. I'd love to be able to. We'll have to take a look at it
I was
later.
messing around with the colors. I think I'm just gonna leave it as
maybe don't
black.
do that.
Maybe I don't.
Too much fun, like you said earlier.
But yeah, we're waiting for the Class 8A to be announced. But overall, all of the teams that we thought were going to get in have been able to get in. And again, Apollo Conference, not a whole lot of teams from the Apollo Conference, just Mount Zion and Muhammad. But other conferences have really stepped up and had a lot of teams have been available and been able to make the playoffs. And for some of these teams, it's been a while since they've been in.
Let me ask you, Leroy, is it a surprise that Muhammad is playing up in 5A?
Oh, no. Size of the school. It's one of those things where it's a big, let's see, Muhammad has hold on. I got it. Muhammad has a enrollment of, what is their enrollment? 943.
Okay.
So that's the reason. That's the reason being of why. Whereas you look at Taylorville. Taylorville only has 750, which, if you're listening, I graduated with a class of 68 people. So really? I mean, this is all crazy to me to have these huge schools.
Wow.
Yeah, I graduated with the class. The whole high school only had 200 people in it.
I think my high school had maybe 1,000. So I'm already. That's not just my class. That's just how many at one time.
Yeah, to put it into perspective, Elgin, who Taylorville played earlier in the year, has a school attendance of 330. Wow. So it's still bigger than any school that I've ever gone to.
Do you have anything new to share with the listeners here real quick? I have a story to tell if you don't mind.
No, go for it.
So where I come from in Washington State, 1,000 enrollment only puts you in 2A. Isn't that crazy? Only puts you in 2A, and then the 4A is like if you're in in and around Seattle, and maybe even I don't think they even have 5A. That's the other thing. But it really, the smaller schools like Leroy's school that he would have graduated from, if he were in Washington State, he would have been in 1B or 2B. They even go down into the B conferences, which are lower than the 1A, and just something to kind of think about for your perspective. It's really interesting to me to see how there's 8 different classifications. Like you can go all the way up from 1A to 8A. And
yeah.
I mean, that's been really interesting so far for me to watch and
Yep.
see how this is unrolled.
Yep, there are some very, very small schools in Illinois, obviously, and there are some very, very big schools in Illinois.
It
especially
ranges all
especially when
sorts.
you get up towards Chicago and in that area as well. All right, so we continue looking here. Yeah, let's take a look here.
Do we have
'cause-
8A yet?
No, it's not up yet. But I mean, when you look at some of these teams for like 1A, right? When you
Right.
look at some of these schools for 1A and their enrollment, there are some schools that are about my size. Arcola, 229 people. Let's see. Shelbyville has 319. So I mean, that's pretty close. And Nokomis, 179.
Yeah.
We're getting sidetracked. We're getting sidetracked here. I'm all excited because we're all talking all these little tiny schools, and then my kid goes to a school that's got a population of 750. So but yeah, we're waiting on the Class 8A. It has not been released yet. Obviously, there's no schools down here that have any Class 8A, but we'd be remiss if we didn't include them as we've included everybody else. So we're waiting patiently for the Class 8A results to come in.
I knew a girl through a summer camp. She went to a high school in Washington State, somewhere in the mountains and the mountain ranges, and her graduation class in 1B. Are you ready for this?
Yep.
She graduated with 4 other people. And I'm sure there is maybe something like that. I'm not sure in Illinois, but can you imagine just like you have your class in your reunion and it's literally just the size big enough for you to go to a restaurant with them in 10 years and catch back up in your reunion, 5 other people. You have any sorry, you look like you were going to say something.
No.
Do you have any? I mean, I'm just so anxious for those 8A results. And
Are you have a vested interest?
I do. Well, no, I have
8A?
zero interest. But also,
are you going up to Chicago to see some of these 8A?
I mean,
games?
I might go if I'm up in the area at some point. Who knows? I've been, this close to Chicago I've been is Elgin. So.
I know we gotta get you over there.
Yeah,
one of these days,
soon.
you and I gotta take you up there so you can see what's going on up there.
Soon.
One of my favorite cities.
Other than Taylorville, of course.
Well, I tell you what, actually, I'll be a little biased. You know what my favorite city out of all of them is? Moequa.
Oh,
I love going down to Moequa. It's a nice little small town. I like it. A lot of fun.
I haven't golfed there yet.
See, you're going to get me in trouble. They're going to listen and they're going to be like, Leroy, how dare you show favoritism?
Right. Pena's great too. All of the local areas are great. And I've gotten a chance to see a lot of them.
You don't ever say what town's your favorite, Avery. Now we're going to get all kinds of
I'll tell you the ones I haven't seen yet. I haven't been to Meridian. I haven't been.
But to be fair, you haven't even been down to St. Louis yet either.
No, I haven't.
I mean, we got to get you to Busch Stadium.
Yeah, that'd be really fun. I had tickets to go see the Mariners and Royals, but I just didn't go. I tried to resell them, and I wanted to go see Kauffman Stadium, but 6 hours, too much. It's just too much.
I have news for you, sir.
What?
Class A results have just posted.
Oh,
are you ready?
Yep, Class 8A.
All these Chicago schools. Here we go. Loyola taking on Downers Grove. Naperville North taking on Naperville Central. York taking on Manuka. Lincoln Way taking on Oswego. Lockport taking on Lions. Glenbard West taking on Oswego. Gurney Warren taking on Barrington. And Bolingbrook taking on Glenbard North. South Elgin taking on Edwardsville. Glenbard East taking on Marist. Hinsdale Central taking on Sandburg. My mom is from Hinsdale.
Oh, cool.
Sandburg taking on Glenbrook, taking on Hinsdale Central will take on Sandburg. Glenbrook South taking on O'Fallon. Neuqua Valley taking on Bartlett. Taft taking on Palatine. Maine South taking on New Trier. Plainfield North taking on Evanston. There is your 8A matchups for the football playoff pairings. All right. There it is. There's all of our classes. If you missed them all, we will post all of these brackets on our WTIM Facebook page through TaylorvilleDailyNews.com under our sports section. Just head on over to the sports section, click on the class that your school is in, and see if your team made it. We'll have all of those. You already know if your team made it or not. We'll have all of those playoff pairing brackets right there for you so you can check out and see where you're going. Again, a lot of these times and dates have not been announced yet.
Right.
Once they get announced, we will have those posted for you so You'll be able to see what day all of that is going on, and I would imagine it'll be relatively soon.
How much time do we have left, Leroy?
We have 4.5 minutes, sir.
Should we run through 1A, 2A real
1A
quick
and 2A
again?
one more time, buddy.
Especially with the South. Camp Point Central hosting Villa Grove. Nokomis hosting Central A&M. In my opinion, I think that's the matchup of the week for the South. Cumberland and Brown County facing off, and then Arcola and West Central Co-op. Arcola hosting West Central Co-op. Carrollton hosting Shelbyville. Greenfield Northwest Co-op hosting Salt Fork. Athens hosting Meridian. And Cesar Valley Co-op hosting Casey Westfield. And there's a bunch of North teams, but since we're kind of low on time, I'm going to skip the North, just kind of keep it a little bit more local. And 2A, we have St. Teresa hosting Flora and Vandalia hosting Chester, both 7-2 teams. Breeze Mater D. All right. Army White County will face off Breeze Mater D. I got it right there that time.
Here you go, buddy.
1 for 5 on that. Johnston City hosting Lawrenceville and Pana hosting Arthur Lovington. Again, Pana potentially won't see a road game until the semifinals. So good positioning for Pana.
As long as they win, they keep going, baby.
Yeah, Maroa Forsyth hosting Westville and Bismarck Henning hosting North Mac. Nashville hosting Unity Payson Co-op. And there is your 2A South. And, of course, Mount Zion hosting Paris. Rochester hosting Cahokia.
Cahokia.
I got it right on the stutter.
There you go, buddy.
And what did you say, Muhammad? Who did you say they were facing?
Oh, they're in 5A, and I already closed the spot for it.
Oh,
They're
but
number one.
They're a number one seed, though.
They
That's
should
what
be-
you care about. They are hosting a
No,
team.
they're not. They're number 3.
Oh, they
That's
are.
right. They're 3. They're number
Oh.
3 seed.
But they are
because
hosting somebody,
because
though.
they're undefeated. Yeah.
But they are going to
So,
host
yep.
a team,
Yep.
at least in week 1. So looking forward to all those matchups as well.
Absolutely. All right. Well, we're still early, Avery. We
Still
got
early,
3
so
minutes.
maybe I'll run
We got-
through
we
the
got-
North and
we
the
got
1A
3
real
minutes.
quick.
We got 3 minutes, my friend.
I'm going to run through the North and the 1A. We have Abingdon taking on Anawan Westerfield. Iroquois West taking on Monmouth United. Rushville hosting Ridgeview. Peru St. Bede hosting Hope Academy. Ottawa Marquette hosting Princeville. Fulton hosting Raby. Forreston hosting Galena. And Lena Winslow hosting Aurora Christian. That's your 1A North bracket. For your 2A North, we have Wilmington hosting Julian. Mercer County taking on the other 6-3 team in the North. And I say that as there's only 2 or 3 other 6-3 teams. Newman and Knoxville hosting Bishop McNamara. Prairie Prophetstown hosting Clifton Central. Tri-Valley hosting Rockridge. 7 seed Deer Creek Mackinac is hosting North Lawndale. 3 seed Farmington hosting 14 seed El Paso Gridley. 6 seed Tremont hosting 11 seed Momenson. Didn't really run through the 4A bracket, so we can go ahead and do that. Joliet Catholic hosting Marengo. Wheaton Academy hosting Coal City. And Gino Kingston hosting Bogan. St. Francis hosting Peoria Notre Dame. Richmond Burton hosting Sullivan. Chai Sullivan, that is. Chicago, is that Chicago Sullivan? Is that what that is?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Stillman Valley hosting Hyde Park. Kewanee hosting Plano. Phillips hosting Dixon. Rochester in the South hosting Cahokia. Cahokia. I had it. See? Mount Zion and Paris. Freeburg hosting Richland County. Carterville hosting Harrisburg. Breeze Central hosting Salem. Murfreesboro Co-op hosting Macomb. Sacred Heart Griffin hosting Macomb. You got to make sure I get it right. Sacred Heart Griffin hosting Columbia, and I mean that too. I don't mean that facetiously. You got to make sure I get it right because I'm not from the area, at least not for long. I will be here. I'll be a local before too long. Don't get me wrong. Sacred Heart Griffin hosting Columbia, and Notre Dame hosting Civic Memorial.
All right, there we go. Again, we will have all of these brackets posted on our Facebook page through TaylorvilleDailyNews.com under our sports page. Click on that. You'll be able to see all of the pairings from Class 1A all the way through Class 8A. Thank you to Avery Cooper for all of his help tonight. It's been a lot of prep and a lot of work that we got through. Thank you to Coach Weekly and our Shelbyville coach as well, Coach
Bill Duckett.
Bill Duckett. Thank you. I couldn't think of his name. Sorry, Coach. Thank you to both coaches for talking to us a little bit today. All right. That does it here from us from the WTIM Prairie Farms Dairy Pigskin Playoff Preview Show. Have a great night.
From Regional Radio, TaylorvilleDailyNews.com, and the WTIM app. This is local information making a difference.
I'm Avery Cooper reporting. 145 school districts, the governor, the Illinois Department of Public Health, and the state Board of Education are named in a class action lawsuit this week. The lawyer behind it, Tom DeVore, an opponent to mask mandates and government shutdowns during the pandemic.